got a quick 5-minute break. I'm going to grab a drink. You guys do the same, and I will see you back here in 4 minutes for Game 2 between Pandorum Gaming and Radioactive Octopi. They're thinking about 5 minutes. So I will throw down a countdown clock for you guys. And right on time, actually a few seconds early, the game is underway. So in game one, we had a lot of very quick, very rapid bans. We'll see if this short break gave them time to reconsider their ban orders, and if the last game is going to alter their priorities at all. Already out the gate, It looks like Pandorum Gaming is taking a little bit longer with their bans.
5 seconds remaining.
And retooling what their strategy is going to be for Game 2.
Radiant team ban.
They ban out the Leshrac and Queen of Pain, both first-round bans from the previous game. So
Team ban.
it looks like they're just sticking to the current meta. Both of those heroes are extremely challenging to deal with,
10 seconds remaining.
especially if they get good starts in the early game in the laning phase. They start to snowball out of control, and there's no looking back. Lesh is another one of those heroes, a lot like Bristleback, where at a certain point he just begins to ignore damage and run around towers, run around team fights, and destroy everything. You do have a second round ban on the Bloodseeker from Pandorum Gaming, so you will not be seeing him make another appearance. But then the second ban for Radioactive Octopi is Gyro. So 2 games in a row, you have Lesh, Queen of Pain, Gyro, all banned out in the first round. The only change up in strategy here seems to be getting rid of that Bloodseeker, who is a challenge to deal with. But of course, by doing so, they're not able to ban out the Undying, so he makes his way into the pool and is picked up immediately by Pandorum Gaming.
Ten seconds remaining.
So with Pandorum Gaming,
5 seconds remaining.
I'm gonna assume that that's Azarth playing the Undying.
Reserve time.
He's got quite a few games with Undying under his belt recently, as well as a lot of tanky heroes, the Bristleback, the Axe.
Bristleback.
And feeling the pain, they bring in the Bristleback, followed by Io. Io was a huge support pickup for the first couple weeks of 6.8.4. He's since kind of dropped off in the pick rates a little bit, but he's also still one of the heroes who's banned depending on which heroes are chosen and everything. I'll be interested to see if
10 seconds remaining.
Tiny makes it into the draft pool. If not, I suspect he'll be banned out here in the second round, because a Tiny IO combination is always a nightmare to deal with. He starts to hit really hard.
Fire team ban.
And he's got a lot of early regen from the IO tether in the early game. Venomancer picked up by Pandorum Gaming, so you're gonna have a lot of those small zombies and plague wards just nickel and diming heroes to death in the middle of the team fights. Another thing that I really like about Venomancer is those plague wards provide you with vision. Not a ton of vision, and they don't last as long as a ward, obviously, but it does let you kind of throw plague wards around in those flanking positions, so if you do see a Bristleback coming at you or something, you get a little bit more of a head start, a little bit more of a notice than just getting blindsided and completely outflanked by a nasal, gooey Bristleback. But of course, with IO, anyone on the Radiant team is going to be able to teleport anywhere on the map at any point once IO hits 6. So Plague Wards or not, they're going to get where they want to go. The bans coming out, you're going to have Witch Doctor banned out by Pandorum Gaming, which is a little bit of an odd choice. Not quite sure what that's designed to do. Maybe just reduce some of the ability for IO to continuously tether heal like a Bristleback and everything else. But I'm going to guess that was more to get rid of the heal than it was Witch Doctor's ultimate, his ward. But either way, he's gone. We won't be seeing him. Same with the Slark, who's always annoying to deal with his permanent, non-detectable invisibility. Radioactive Octopi banning out Shadow Fiend and Phantom Lancer. So Phantom Lancer, another hero we saw last game, who we will not be seeing this go around. The fan favorite mid laners are definitely getting banned out by both teams here. You have Les, Shadow Fiend, and Queen of Pain. All banned out in first game and banned out in game 2 as well. Line picked up by Radioactive Octopi. I'm guessing that's going to be Fight the Power, maybe?
Earth Shaker.
Who has
Radiant team pick.
renamed himself to Jockey, I believe. Or Jokey. He was originally named Jockey, and then he went to Fight the Power, and now he's named Jokey. We'll see if that is in fact him. Otherwise, it'll probably be Modicum of Audacity. Storm Spirit picked up, and that'll most likely be played by Purple Toast. He's their de facto mid player, usually sitting on a lot of Shadow Fiend games, but he also has some Lesharok and some Storm games in his recently played queue. And Storm Spirit's one of those heroes that people say, I certainly can't, but people at a higher MMR bracket than me say if you get really good with Storm Spirit, you can just insta-pick him in ranked all-pick games, run to the middle lane, and single-handedly carry your team to victory up until like the 5k MMR bracket. Now, I am not that good with them. So, there's always an element of execution no matter how good a hero is. Storm Spirit can get out of control, but as I've learned the hard way, he can also be controlled. So we'll see what Purple Toast does with him. So a couple familiar faces from last game. We see an Earthshaker and a Bristleback both making it into the lineup again, but a lot of new faces here. So Pandorum Gaming definitely going with the Totem strat, or the Ward strat, which may be why they banned out the Witch Doctor. They expected that they weren't going to pick it up, so they wanted to make sure that no other wards were on the table for them. But they have the Plague Wards from the Venomancer, the Nether Ward coming out of the Pugna, as well as Pugna essentially acting like a ward himself with his channeled Life Drain ultimate. And then Undying dropping Tombstone and his Flesh Golem ult, which gives him a massive AoE damage amp. So there's going to be just a ton of things nickel diming people down. And Pugna's a good pickup after the Storm Spirit, because that Nether Ward starts to cast Mana Leak on you depending on how much mana you use, as well as damaging you. And with Storm Spirit relying on Ball Lightning to zip around in a teamfight situation, if he doesn't have a ton of mana in the tank, a ton of stacks on a Bloodstone, something like that, he's not going to have the mana he needs to just completely ignore that Nether Ward and zip around without being punished for it severely. The last ban out here, you're going to see Silencer banned out from Pandorum Gaming, another ban from last game, and Anti-Mage banned out by Radioactive Octopi. Logical bans. Anti-Mage, definitely one of the counters to Storm Spirit on the back of Nether Ward especially. You have Nether Ward kind of sap the mana of everyone on the Radiant team, and then you just mana break them and call it a day. Get some pretty easy pickoffs from that. We have the chat calling out the predictions here. Mojism saying that he's going to go aggressive with the Undying in the offlane. But Radiant having a lot of meat in what I suspect to be both the offlane and the safe lane in the form of a Timbersaw and Bristleback. So you're going to have a ton of armor in the form of like passive armors with Bristleback and the reactive armor here stacking up on Timbersaw. Invoker picked up for Pandorum Gaming, that gives them even more global presence. Well, even more. That gives them some global presence, and also if he starts casting Cold Snap on people, you're going to see all those nickel and dimey spells and totems I talked about really take their toll and keep people in place.
Prepare for battle.
I don't know that I had my overlay on last game. Hopefully I did. So you guys can see the beautiful Darmin Cast logo and the Darmin Cast Twitter icon. So you can get out to my Twitter page and follow, so you're aware of anytime I'm hosting wonderful games and tournaments like this, the AD2L Season 8 tournament. And then when I just play the game myself, you can watch me, judge me, and tell me how bad I'm being. Lots of pings coming out on the top lane, but there's nothing up there. Bristleback calling out the Venomancer. They're grouping up a bit more this time after the game 1 smoke was a failed. It was a no-go. So they brought 4 in here to kind of protect themselves and protect the rune. Nobody's even looking at this rune. So you have Timbersaw getting into position up in the top lane.
The battle begins.
Bristleback charging forward, gets fissured out. He's taking a bunch of damage. He does not have the Bristleback ability, but he does have Quill Spray, and it's starting to stack up on Earthshaker, and it's enough to drop him with the 3rd stack there. So, first blood down. Timbersaw waddles over to the top rune, picks up the bounty rune, and he heads back to his top lane. Earthshaker respawns, he starts heading north, and we're going to get into our laning setup here. So, as predicted,
you're welcome.
It's an aggressive tri-lane here coming out of PG. You have the Venomancer, Pugna, and Undying all sitting in the bot lane here. And a Lion, Io, and Bristleback there to meet him. Not sure if they're... Yep, they're trying to stack and pull. Supports doing a little dance, boxing one another out. Bristleback low on mana, and he does not have any sort of mana regen at this time, outside of Io, who does have an early bottle, so he'll be able to get some stacks back and continue to annoy this dire team. But Undying casting Decay, and everyone having those AoE blasts between Nether Blast, Decay, and Venomous Gale. Everyone's very hesitant to get too close to that front line. In the top lane, Earthshaker versus Timbersaw in a very uneventful, until now, exchange. Timbersaw, and as soon as I take my eyes off it, they go. So, just like that, Tombstone was dropped, Nether Ward was dropped, and Bristleback bites the dust. So, take your eyes off the ball for 2 seconds, and that's what can happen. It looked like the supports were busy in the jungle there, trying to control the wave equilibrium, stack and pull, things like that. And they were able to get the stack off, but at the cost of a Bristleback life. Meanwhile, Clarity Potion's coming out on the Dire side. Lion's going to be able to pop Undyings off. But everyone's kind of regenning. Seeing if they can get back to it. In the mid lane, Invoker versus Storm. Let's see how they're doing on last hits. Invoker definitely beating the Storm with 13-7. Storm Spirit hitting him with that overload. Doing a little bit of damage, but with a Quas build Invoker, he's going to have the regen to kind of just sit in lane. He eats a tree and he's at 11 HP regen, so those overload hits at the early stages of the game aren't going to be groundbreaking. Meanwhile, you have more action going on in the bottom lane. Heals coming out on the Bristleback, who's continuing to chase Pugna. He's got 4 stacks on him. If he was able to get off one more Quill Spray, he might have been able to drop him, but he wasn't able to do it before Undying got the last hit with a Decay. Dropped him. He gets another Decay off. That's 4 stacks. Lion's trying to deny himself with the Giant Wolves and the Alpha Wolves there, but not enough. 2 deaths in the bottom lane. Bristleback going down a second time. Lion eating it for the first time. And everyone on the Dire side living through it. The fight recaps showing you part of the fight, but not all of it. Due to the low respawn time, Bristleback's already back in the lane, already back to farming, but he's only sitting on now he just hit 2 or 3 more. 4 more. So he's nearly doubled his last hits with that one wave, bringing him up to a total of 10. Mid lane, still not a lot going on. They're trading blows back and forth a little bit, but not overly committing to anything yet. Storm knows that Logic has Liberty Logic, as he's sometimes known, is getting some regen. He does pop an EMP. His bottom lane is the one to be watching, though, because EMP is not going to do much, especially when you miss it. But Lion goes down for the second time in the bottom lane, and now Dire's starting to get aggressive. So you have 2 points into the Plague Wards now, casting them kind of in these flanking positions right along the tree line. They have vision into the jungle so they can see any wraparound plays that are being made. And now they're just going to continue to Nether Blast and Tombstone once they get it in another 15 seconds, but continue to put pressure on this tier 1 in the bot lane. Storm rotates bot, picks off the Undying. The Poison Gale comes out from Venomancer. IO's in dangerous territory here. He's going to go down to the Pugna auto attacks, but Undying does go down himself. The Nether Ward is sitting there, popping anyone who's casting spells. Storm finally drops as he was just nickel and dimed by these poisons between the Plague Wards and just the venomous touch from Venomancer. And slowly but surely they prolong the fight long enough that the Plague Wards, the Poison Touches, the Venom Gales, the Nether Ward, all of it is just slowly ticking away at the health pools until they get low enough that they can just auto-attack. A Pugna can auto-attack with his 69 base damage with no damage amplifiers and drop people like a Storm Spirit. Storm returning to his middle lane here. Invoker backing off. He's got EMP Tornado queued up, ready to go. Top lane continues to just be a farm exchange, with Timbersaw definitely getting the more favorable exchange out of the two, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to have just a decently farmed Timbersaw going into the nickel and dimey strat that's going on in this bot lane. Wards are being dropped non-stop, almost on cooldown here by the Venomancer. I don't expect this equilibrium to fall past this tree line again. Not before this tier 1 tower's down. Which, with Cardi here and another blast, will be right now.
Bottom tower has fallen.
So, Radiant call it a day, back up, and now Dire are going to rotate into the side shop, spend some of their newfound money. Not seeing a lot of scrolls. Timbersaw doesn't have a scroll. Pugna does. Veno doesn't. They're rotating through the jungle. And are they going to continue to pressure tier 2 here? They wrap around behind Bristleback. Drop the Nether Ward. Drop the Tombstone. A little bit of life drain from Pugna. And he's going to drop. Lion trying to save his his carry, IO trying to save the Lion, and all three of them drop. And now it's a clear stretch for this tier 2 tower. You can tell they were kind of thinking about rotating mid, thinking about wrapping around bot. Ultimately, they decide to see if they could drop Bristleback. They get him, and then it's an easy 3-0 plus tier 2 tower. I don't even think Lion's going to make it there in time. There it goes. Second tower going down on the side of the Radiant, and both towers being fed directly to the Pugna, which puts him at the top of the charts in terms of net worth by a pretty large margin. I mean, he's got 800 gold on the Timber Saw, who has... Oh, he's kind of fallen behind mid there in terms of last hits, but he's had relatively uncontested farm here against an Earthshaker. He's only had to fight up against enchant totems and fissures. There hasn't been a lot of rotations on either side until now, where after that bot lane has been rolled up, you're going to see them rotate mid and rinse and repeat. The ward's already coming out. You have the Nether Ward down. You have the Plague Wards. EMP Tornado popped on the Storm Spirit, but I think it was mostly just to get him out of there. Jabby meeting the team for the first time. He's not able to survive into all of that little nickel and dime poison damage. Excuse me.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Oh, it's just so emotional. It's so emotional. Also, I had something in my throat. But mostly the emotions. The emotions were in my throat. And dropping the Storm Spirit, dropping the Timber, they're going to once again take another relatively uncontested tower. They pop the glyph, but it only stalls them for a couple seconds. It does allow Storm Spirit to get back into the middle lane.
Yes.
They're kind of zoning out Dire, seeing if they're ready to push into a tier 2 mid. But Dire reset. They fall back to their tier 1, regroup. Start spending some of that money. You see the Yule's pick up from Pugna. Boots and a Soul Ring on Earthshaker. And checking the net worth here. 5 of the top 6 slots are now owned by the Dire. So 11 minutes in and you have about a 10k net worth lead, which is pretty big. It's mostly just towers at this point, so the game's not completely over. They do catch out a Venomancer in the jungle trying to rotate top. All 5 Radiant are there, and they are going to be able to bring them down. The rest of the team's showing up though. Wards are dropped on the high ground, so everything that Radiant cast now is going to punish them in return. Bristleback sprinting away from 3. He's got his back turned to the enemy, but it's not enough. Invoker's able to drop him. He goes down. Storm's trapped on the high ground here. He zips down, but he's got 4 people hot on his tail. A Fissure is ready, and he does not have the mana to zip away. Tornado cast, Yule's cast at the same time. Doesn't really matter. Either one of them would have been enough to catch him, keep him there, and they finished the job. So the fight recap's only showing the Storm Spirit, but Bristleback went down early in that exchange as well as the Venomancer. So the Radiant are able to pick off a support, but at this point it's a Venomancer. You're not going to see... Yeah, you don't even see a blip in the net worth chart at this point for killing off a Venomancer. Even though it was his first death, they dropped the tier 1 tower top. Radiant's pinging out the tier 2 tower, saying, hey guys, we need to defend this. We can't lose all of our map control under the 15-minute mark. IO and Bristleback are here. You'll probably see Bristleback try to take the lead, but you have Vision and Plague Wards, Nether Wards, and just an army of stuff to fight through to get to one of the heroes. Pugna does get caught out by Timber's ult, but he's healed up to half health. The EMP goes off, Echo Slam catches 1.5, 2, and all of a sudden 4 people just explode on the side of the Radiant. Flying Toasters caught out on the high ground where there was another ward. A fissure comes out, or a plague ward, excuse me, and those plague wards continuously poking him, continuously poisoning him, drop him down, and he's the last to fall on the Radiant. But that is a team wipe, a 3,000 gold exchange in the way of Dire, and just as importantly, they take another tier 2 tower, start doing damage to the tier 3 tower. This game so far has just been a pretty one-sided match of them saying, hey guys, let's go take this tower, and then they take it. Radioactive Octopi trying to defend their tier 3 here. They do have all 5 people up. Storm's on his way up. EMP Tornado comes out. It lands. It hits Bristleback. He's at 8 HP. IO tethers him. He'll be safe. Storm zips in. They might be able to catch out an Earth Spirit or an Earthshaker here. They pull tower aggro away onto the Invoker, and that saves the Earthshaker's life. The poison finishes the job on the Bristleback, who immediately buys back though. But they're all at the fountain. They're all sitting at the fountain while damage is being done to their racks in the top lane. If they thought it was difficult not having a defense of the tier 1, if they're short of racks, it's going to be that much harder. Storm Spirit zips in, he explodes. Bristleback dies for the second time. That's a dieback, and already it's a 14.5 minute GG well played, called by Radioactive Octopi, and that is the power of the ward strat. Just early aggression on towers, zoning people out with nether wards, plague wards, nether blast, decays, tombstones. It becomes very difficult to fight into that, even in like a 4 versus 3 situation. The safe lane was always kind of a 3 versus 3 until they got both the tier 1 and tier 2 tower, and then they rolled into the middle lane, grouped as 5, and there was no looking back. So that's going to do it for both games here. Pandorum Gaming taking game 2 in a very clean, very decisive win, implementing the ward strat to its fullest, taking those early towers, taking map control, and abusing it. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. That was and is the Darmin cast. Please follow me if you liked it or hated it or want to insult me or want to annoy my Moobot or anything like that, or if you want to watch me play some bad Dota and give me an education on how to play, I'm more than welcome. I'm more than welcome to constructive feedback there. So thanks again, and I may be casting one more game tonight. I have to reach out to see how those games are going, if they've already been run, what the case is. But there are people who are on standby looking for a caster, so I may have one more game tonight to cast for you guys. I will throw it to an AFK or a Be Right Back screen and let you know in chat one way or another, and we'll go from there. So Pandorum Gaming versus Radioactive Octopi. Well played by both teams, and I may be casting either of them again in the near future. Alright, thank you all, and I'll be right back. So I am going to briefly pause the stream and reboot it here to get me back live. So stay on the channel, and I'll be back in just a few seconds here.